What's up, YouTube? Well, I have an interesting situation right now. At least I find it interesting. I thought you might as well. I have a brand new computer, and I have absolutely no editing software on here for images. And I'm going to need to do some thumbnails. I also find that when people do guides, they kind of skip a bunch of steps and they say, go here, get this, blah, blah, blah. So I'm actually going to show you the entire process of getting the software I use to edit thumbnails. And I'm also going to show you um, the plugins that I use to get some of the effects, how I apply the effects, how I set up my layers, all that type of stuff. I didn't bother setting up my green screen and things like that. That's something else that's ongoing. I'm kind of changing around my office. So let's go through this in real time. I'll have the links to all this stuff in the description of the video, which will help. But anyway, if you want to literally follow along, getpaint.net is where you want to go. Paint.net is apparently some painter, at least it used to be. It's really annoying. If you go to paint.net, it's not what you want. So anyway, I'll probably end up blurring out some of this stuff because you're going to like see stuff from my computer and probably see like my name and things like that. So if any of that stuff pops up, I'm going to hide it. But everything else will be completely transparent. Don't get it on Windows 10. You have to pay money. And that sucks. If you can get something for free, it's better than paid. I don't know why you would want to pay for it. I mean, hey, you might want to flip a couple of bucks their way, but I think there's a donate link anyway. So let's see. Okay, I'm going to go here and get it for free, and it is downloading. So I already downloaded, checked some of the download links that you'll need later, but that's only because I want to make sure they actually worked. So we'll extract, and this went to the wrong window, so let's bring it over to the right one. I don't know why I decided to go to my OBS window. So we will install. As far as I recall, this doesn't install anything too awful. I would just go with Express unless you really have some particularly strong feelings. Make sure to always read the agreement. Probably just sold my firstborn to paint.net. Yeah, see they have a donate button if you want to flip them a couple of bucks. It is it's a good program. Paint.net is definitely an intermediate between like say a paintbrush and a Photoshop. Whereas I would say something like GIMP is really just kind of a like 90% of the way to Photoshop, but it's also incredibly difficult to learn. It's not one I know very well. If you took the time, you could learn it as well. But if you want to bang out thumbnails quick and dirty, I find paint.net super easy. Alrighty. Finish. Okay, so paint.net starts. That's good, but we're going to shut it down. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we need to get some plugins. Paint.net by itself is too bare bones, but adding the plugins definitely gets you up and running. So you'll need a Dropbox account to do this. It's not hard to create. I just created one using my Gmail. So you got your Vandermotten. Okay, so you got all your DLLs here. Grab these, extract them all, and you're going to browse. And we're going to go to program files, .net, and effects. So effects are just DLLs. So as long as they appear under this folder, they should be good. And I have excessive security on apparently. There we go. So these are all DLL files and they're all there, which is good, but that's not enough. We're going to get a few more. Sure. Okay, so in here you'll find a link to the pack of DLLs. For some reason mine wasn't starting right away, in which case just do like a save link as. There you go. And I actually had a problem where it didn't. I got to change my security settings on this particular install of Windows because it's way too secure. Anyway, just gotta say keep. So again, we will open this. And actually just do another extract all. And again, we're going to go to that same place as last time, select folder, boom, continue. So hopefully that will give us all the effects we need. So if you are making a thumbnail for YouTube, let's I don't know, let's say we're going with a an Apex one. So I'm gonna grab just a generic Apex Legends 1920 by 1080. This one's good as any. A lot of times they link to annoying websites like Pinterest and stuff like that. I just try to open them in their own tab. Okay, this will do. Save image as. Oh, one thing I almost forgot. I need cool fonts. So I'll do that as well before we get into it. So let's call this something meaningful. Apex Legends background. Doesn't matter for this one whether it's a JPEG or PNG, but when possible, try to get a PNG. They're usually easier to work with. I actually know the font that a lot of YouTubers use, and it's like ridiculously popular. So free bangers font. This one is you'll know it as soon as you see it. It's like everywhere on YouTube. It's not the one I use for mine, but I'm actually going to show you the one I use because I want to keep that for myself. I want to create a tutorial on how to create my thumbnails. I'd like to keep my own style, but I will help you with yours. Oh, here we go. Okay, let's download this family. Yeah, so this font, you've definitely seen it before. Every unoriginal YouTuber uses the same font, especially with drop shadow, which we'll also go through. So you got your zip down here, and you'll open, and it's weird. Used to just have a, yeah, this is fine. Just do it wherever. Once you open this, it'll have your install link. Boom, you'll have it. Okay, trying to think of anything else we need. I think we're good. If we're just doing like a few layers of the background image and a font, anything else? No, we're good. As long as we have a drop shadow plugin, I think we're okay. So let's fire up paint.net. Hopefully all our plugins are there. So let's see, effects. Yeah, so if you see this puzzle symbol, that's a good sign. That means that your plugins have been installed. And I want to see drop shadow. Yeah, this is your bread and butter. Everybody uses the crap out of this. Now, one other one I would like that I don't see is anti-aliasing. Let's see, if that's not there, I may want to go looking again. All right, we got more plugins. That's great. So we're going to shut down paint.net so it'll actually recognize it. Go here, and we will show in folder on this. Oh, wow. This is part of a huge one. That's great. So we're going to, again, extract them all. And no surprise, same place. And continue. And trust me, like adding more plugins is always good. They're very small, and it doesn't get that cluttered. You're going to know what you're looking for. But the main thing is having aliasing is huge, or anti-alias. So what do they refer to it as? Interestingly, no, I don't see one that specifically says alias. Well, let's see when we fire paint.net up. If we don't, then I guess we get a few more. And yeah, okay. Let's see. If we go effects, it's usually under object, but it's not good. Artistic, no. Blurs, no. Under program files. This is the type of troubling stuff I'm sure you'll have to go through. .net effects. Oh, that's why. I don't think it likes subfolders. So we're going to take all this and we're going to drop them right here. Okay. All right. Now we should be good. Just going to delete this as well. Yeah. Man, I got to take all this nanny stuff off. All right. Sorry, shut this down again. Min starts and restarts paint.net a million times. Okay, so now if we look at effects, we should, hey, there we go. So You don't always have to use anti-aliasing, but I do find if you're getting jagged edges around stuff, it helps. And sometimes with fonts and tube oblique and some of the other things you might do and shadow, sometimes you'll get some and you can pull some of them off with this thing. So anyway, let's get into the nitty gritty. We'll go up here to layers, image, sorry. I'll resize the image. You definitely want to do 1920 by 1080. Oh, piss off. 1920 by 1080. I don't know why it wants to go 1440, whatever. Okay, there's your thing. Now let's hold down Control and mouse wheel down to zoom out. We want it around here. Now, layers is going to be your best friend. So it's where it's going to find, you find it easy accessible. I'm going to show you a similar style to the ones I use, but I'm not going to show you my exact style, which basically is a background image, a cutaway, a top image, and then some type of text element, sometimes a character. And I can show you how to add that as well. So first for our background, we're going to go and we're going to open that file that we downloaded. So we got this. What was the size on this guy? Image resize 1920 by 1080. So this will fit perfectly, which you probably are not going to actually want to, you're not going to want, right? Because I'm going to show you how to clip part of this off. So let's kind of put it like down here-ish. Maybe let's resize it a bit first too. So just need do that. That's good. And we can, oh yeah, if you get these marching ants lines around stuff, Control D. You want to get used to that because inevitably you're going to do stupid stuff where you're trying to make a whole bunch of changes and nothing happens. It's because you can only make changes on what you have selected. Control D releases the selection. So top tip. All right, now let's going to add a top frame. Let's double click here, rename this top frame. And I'm going to just pick a color. Let's go with a darker image one. So let's come up here, black bucket. And you're like, why the heck did you do that? You'll see. So you have this. Now what we're going to do is let's create a cutaway. So let's draw a shape. Let's see, what shapes do we have? Let's go with a hexagon. Why not? I'm going to come here, draw our hexagon shape. Say this. It's currently black. Anyway, let's do this. Da, 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 da. Move it up a bit. I hate when it does that. So if you hit the circle, it's this. I don't really like that much. It's like that. I'm just going to do this. And I'm just going to extend that line out a little bit. So, hold Control, mouse up to extend, and we still have white selected. Take this and drag it right off the edge. Now we're going to use another secret weapon, which is the magic wand. So just click in the space, hold Control, click here, delete. Now notice you still have this here as well. Now just zoom in, grab your eraser, try to get that as good as you can, and then you can hit it with the. There we go. Okay, so now you got your edge. If you want, you can, let's see what your color theme is going to be. We can play around with this later. Let's just work on the text for now. Actually, you know what? I want to add a character over here because the space seems to be a little bit lacking. And actually, I might move everything down. So let's do this. Let's Control A to highlight everything. Drag this down, and I'm just going to resize it. Make it bigger. this. It gives us a little bit more space to work with. And we're going to come down here to this background and we don't have quite enough space. So let's just resize it slightly. Build that in. Cool. All right. And now I want to add my character. So I'm going to go over here, plus to add a layer. And let's call this Octane because I know I have an image of Octane. I could take you through the whole process of cutting an image out, but it's literally just a matter of using the magic wand to remove the background. And if that doesn't work, you do zoom in, erase around the edge, you hit the magic wand and hope to pull out as much as you can. I really don't want to go through that. So I have a, actually, you know what, let's see if we can find, okay, Octane Apex PNG transparent. If there is one with a transparent background, hopefully we can find it. Okay, this one looks kind of cool. What is it? Yeah, it's actually, oh, yeah, okay. And let's see if we can open it in a new tab. Sometimes they won't let you. This one's good. So I'm gonna, so let's try copying this image and drop it in, see if it works. Okay, so we're here and we'll call this Octane, boom. Now notice it wasn't actually transparent for us. Paint.net has an issue sometimes where it doesn't consider things transparent. So let's go back here. Save this image as in our download. And let's go open it. I doubt severely this is going to work, but I'm going to try it. Copy, paste. Yeah, it didn't work. So here's what we're going to do. Get your magic wand. Yeah, it's not looking at the checkerboard. Okay, so you notice how it's like taking part of his head here? We don't want that to happen. Tolerance is your friend here. You want to drag this until it's just the outline. Hit the delete key. Now that's a real transparency. But if you want to be extra, if you're kind of concerned it's going to grab something it's not supposed to, hit this like a lasso tool. Draw a narrower box around it. Do that. And copy him and come over here and Control D because you don't want to select a particular area. And that, and boom. Kind of cool. Or here. Let's do this. Why not? Let's just do that. Okay, so that's an example of how we can add a character, but it's not typically how I would do it. So I'm going to, that's just an example. I'm going to use one I have. So I'm going to go Control A, delete our Octane there. And I'm going to File, Open, and under Pictures, Characters, and I got an Octane here. And I think this one is a legitimate transparent one. Boom. So you got your Octane here. But okay, so now you want your Octane to pop, and maybe you want this background to fade. So I'll show you how to do two of those things. This is how you get that YouTube quality feel really easily. So you have this selected. You go Effects, Object, Drop Shadow. Don't do this. So you see right now you got your white shadow around there. I never apply my drop shadow first. What I do is I always add a layer of black around it, a little bit smaller and fully opaque. So I do that and I just go okay. Now I hit it with second drop shadow. Control All, just to make sure you're highlighting everything. Effects, Object, Drop Shadow. Now we're going to add a splash of color. Let's say your channel, for whatever reason, your colors are like orange and blue. So I'm going to grab a random orange here, but you'll have a specific color you want. That's fine. So let's grab that orange. And what we're going to do is we're not going to make it fully opaque. We're going to make it a proper shadow. We're going to increase it so it's more of a, here we go. See, now it's really kind of popping out. Or actually something else I like to do is I'll go here to the ink dropper. I'll pick an element from whatever I'm dropping the shadow on, like this. It's either going to be this or this. So let's try this one first. So now if we go Effect, Object, Drop Shadow, you can see it's default to the previous one. If you hit this arrow down here, it's going to grab the color you selected. This actually looks really good. I would probably go with that one. And then, widen it out or however pronounced you want to make it. Drop the opacity. So it's more like a glow. So that's one option, or we can cancel out of that and we can grab this fuchsia color here and then go effect, object, drop shadow, and we'll grab that color and we'll drop the opacity, increase the white. That one's actually really nice too. I'm gonna go with this one. Okay, so now we got our character here popping. This is too prominent. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down here, Control Alt Effect, and blurs. And whenever possible, I try to use the plugins, not the built-in. The built-in stuff in Paint.net is too simplistic and usually does a bad job. But if you use, usually the plugins are really good. So let's go with a gradient blur. Okay, and this one I actually haven't really used before. This one, this is probably not the right blur to use. Let's drop the blur amount a bit. There we go. But it'll suffice. There's probably a better blur for that, but the main thing is we're blurring it. Okay, now what else do we want to do? I think that's okay for our background. And now we're going to want our text. So I'm going to go with, I usually do like a high level title and then like a subtext. So let's do first so we're going to go to our bangers. Boom. And big font, not base 5. Sorry. Bangers. Bangers. Play around with what size. I think I usually go with like a 96 or something. How to Octane. So again, I love to grab color elements from whatever I'm designing. So having already used that fuchsia, I'm really going to want to grab. Now watch this. Important lesson. I'm going to want to grab this blue. See what happened? Transparent. Because you're not on that layer. So let's go down to the Octane layer, grab this color, come back up to our text. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't really handle text that well. So I would really just undo this. I mean, what you could do, I'll show you this as well. Click on the magic wand, hold shift and click here. And then now that this is highlighted, I believe if I paint, yeah, I mean, you can go nuts, right? As long as this is highlighted, you can't paint the wrong thing. But honestly, it's not going to look right. You're going to get jaggies, pretty much guaranteed. So let's just remove the text. Yeah, see the edges of the text weren't being picked up. Let's grab a big old eraser. Bigger. There we go. And blah. Let's start over. You're not losing much by losing that. So you can make the text this color here, or you can make it two-tone. And I'm going to show you how to make it two-tone because I think it's kind of cooler. But strangely enough, I'm going to start with white text. And you'll see why. So we're going to go how to Octane. 3 exclamation marks because that's how Octane would say it. All right. Really boring, right? And let's go bigger. Still kind of boring, right? Understood. So that's what we're going to do. Notice it doesn't handle fonts well. So if you zoom in, you can see you're getting pretty jagged edges. It's really hard to work around that in Paint.net. That's a sacrifice you need to make. But let's see if we can remove some of it. So Control A, Effects, Object, Anti-Aliasing Assistant, and see how I kind of cleaned that up a bit. And Sharpness? Nope. That's like basically remove all the sharpness. That'll clean it up a bit. Okay, but remember how I said we want it to be those 2 colors instead of just the boring white? All right, let's do that. Do it for this or the subtext? I'm going to do it for the subtext. For this one, I'm just going to do another drop shadow because I want this to be as clear as possible. So how to Octane, and let's grab our Octane color again. Let's see, I use this color down here. I might grab the blue this time. These are just my design choices. You can do whatever the heck you want. I don't care. And one thing, top layer text. This will be a lifesaver. Lightsaber. This will be a lifesaver if you ever. You should create this as a template and then reuse it as many times as you can because it saves you a ton of work. I used to like make individual thumbnails for everything. It was such a pain in the butt. Then I kind of created a template, and even then you can still tweak stuff a lot. So Something to keep in mind. Anyway, so you have your high level text here. I'm going to call it top layer text. And we're going to do the drop shadow again. So object, drop shadow. And if you're like, oh my God, you just abused the crap out of drop shadow, look at every YouTuber's thumbnails. That's all they do is just drop shadow. Although I made one mistake that I mentioned, full black, smaller radius, and full opacity. And then we're going to drop the color on it. Okay, boom. All, effect, object, drop shadow, and now we're going to pull that color in, and we're going to bump up the radius. Oh, that looks good. And add a little bit of blur to soften it, and okay. Now, if you want to make it look even cooler, we're going to bend it. So we're going to go Control Alt again, just to make sure we have it selected and not anything else. We're going to go Effects. Now the position of this might screw us up, so we might end up moving it. Let's move it first. Let's see what happens. So object. Okay. This is under. It has a weird name. I think it's like distort. Yeah. And then tube oblique, which is not meaningful, but it's a really cool effect. And you've actually seen this in lots of YouTube videos before. So we're going to come up here and see that. This one's kind of cool because it gives a little bit of that octane motion, right? Something to keep in mind. We can kind of do that at octane, like it's like flying in. But see, with me being close to edge, I'm now losing some of it. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cancel out. We're going to grab everything. We're going to move it out a little bit so we have some space to play. Now again, I'm going to effect, and we're going to go to what I said was distort and tube oblique. And there's so many plugins you get with those packs that I've never used. You can always play around if you like. I don't like how that's clipping there. That'll go away. What happened there? It's interesting. I'm going to do this Control Alt. Like I said, I always hit Control. Remove some of the randomness. So again, we are going to distort. We're going to tube oblique, and we're going to give it that octane speed. Whoosh. I didn't give myself enough space. Oh, it's like actually coming out the other end. All right. Lesson learned. Let's give ourselves a ton of space. So we're going to come all the way out here. Effects. Oh, no, we don't want to do that. I'm going to Control Alt, Effects. A lot of these effects you want to have the whole frame highlighted because they are like whole frame. And distort. And tube oblique. And I only ever really play around with these ones up here. The steps factor makes it happen multiple times. I don't know when you want to use that, but for most text effects, you're pretty much good with this. Okay. Out to octane. And yeah, see that this is if you want to make it like, that's actually kind of cool. But I'm going to mostly keep it on the horizontal. So it's like, you can actually come down here and just hit it 0. And then it's all on one horizontal plane. So we got that. Now that we have it where we want, we're going to do this and put it here. And we're going to do our subtext. So add a layer. We'll call this subtext. And this one I always drop the size slightly, usually 96. And for this one, I'm going to temporarily turn this to white, and you'll see why. Isn't that the truth? All right. So this is a little bit long for the size. I'm actually going to make it a little bit smaller. You could play around with the positioning of this to give yourself more room if you like. So same tips as everyone else. But it's like too much white. It's a little bit boring. So what we're going to do, hit the magic wand, hold down Shift, click, that will highlight everything. Turn your tolerance up as much as you can because you don't want it to leave the edge like it did that other time. You want it to grab absolutely every pixel it can. So now that you have this is kind of cool. Little, I like this effect. So again, and it kind of comes down to whether or not you want to grab a bunch of image or colors from your image, or you have like a theme that you want to follow. And so what we're going to do is we will come down to Octane again. we're going to left click to get his blue. Oops. No, sorry, I'm going to color grab. Left click to get his blue. And then for that fuchsia color, we're going to right click. And now see we have a primary and a secondary. What you do is come up to your subtext and again, hold shift and hit the magic wand. We got that highlighted. And now here's where the cool stuff comes in. Hit a gradient. Start up here in like the top left and drag. Okay, and let's deselect, see how that looks. See how we start with the light blue and we end with this. And again, you don't have to drop shadow everything, but I would drop shadow this. So again, we're going to go Control All, Effect, Object, Drop Shadow, and we're going to go all the way down to black. Boom. Get that sharpness on there. Looks good. You know what? We have some jaggies, so let's undo that. Yeah, there's some jagged edges here. So we're going to go Control All, Effect, and we're going to go to Object, the AA Assistant, and take that sharpness right off there. Good, good, good. I see a couple of random white pixels in there, and I think that's from our highlighting before. So we should have done the, okay, so here's what we're going to do. Okay, so we start at this phase, we go Control A for everything, and we're going to de-sharpen it with the anti-aliasing tool. We are going to now grab everything with as much range as we can get, and we're going to do the this and deselect. That's still a little bit jaggy. Sometimes you can't get away from jaggies. Keeping in mind this is the thumbnail, you're going to be looking at it like this, so you're not going to see the jagged edges. If it was something else, then I'd be more worried. And unfortunately, that's just the limitation I find of Paint.net. If anyone else knows how to take all the jaggies out of your Paint.net, then by all means, let me know. But anyway, so you have this, and we're going to go through our usual effects. Object, drop shadow with full opacity black with a small radius. Usually just down here is fine. Okay. And effects, object, drop shadow. And we're going to grab our selected color. Now in this case, I think we actually are going to want the other color because the blue doesn't seem to pop. Actually, you know what? Let's go with a white, just so it's not the same as one of these existing colors. So effects, object, drop shadow, and we'll just go pure white. And drop the opacity. And this one, let's kind of keep it somewhat subtle. There we go. So yeah, you might want to put your channel logo up here. I mean, I have my own. If you have yours, you put it up there, and there you go. That's like a complete, from not having the software to creating like a kind of kick butt looking thumbnail. At least I think so, in like no time. So yeah, I hope this was helpful. If it was, please make sure to hit a like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you have any questions about Paint.net, put them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer. Thanks for watching. Thanks for making it to the end of my video. You get free pizza.
The free pizza is fake. I have no way of sending a free pizza, and I can't be sure if you don't live in some exotic locale where there is no pizza place, so have these fresh videos instead.
Or subscribe. That also doesn't get you free pizza.